Hi, so I wanted to do kind of a book haul, or it's not going to be a haul because I haven't purchased these books, only two of them. But these are books that I'm going to be reading the coming week, I would say. And it's actually related to some of the courses that I have for the spring term for the university. But I thought that some people might be interested either way, because it depends on what your level of reading is, and if you're sort of enjoying to read more kind of scientific, produced types of literature and so forth. And also I wanted to start off with sort of give a little bit of a some tips on how you can go about and study corporate finance, because I have over the sort of the last couple of weeks I've been doing corporate finance. So, and to that I've been using this book, which is a global edition, and it's published by let's see here, by Jonathan Burke and Peter D. Marceau, I would say. And this is actually the third edition of this book. So there is just recently a new edition that was published. I think it's released, or okay, so it's not already released, because it will be released in the end of January. So I think from end of January there is a new kind of version of this book, and this is of course for more like university level and for students, but I mean, depending on if you have some goals that you want to set for 2019, you might be interested to actually undertake some studies, even if they are not in a university, depending on what your profession and so forth might be, and what you maybe want to just get yourself a little bit of a update on and learn more about. So I haven't finished this corporate finance book because it has and I'm sorry because now it's some noise here, so you might hear some shitty type of noise here. But anyhow, so I'm not finished with this book because it comes with almost 31 chapters, and I am currently on chapter 21, so I have like 10 more chapters to go. But I think that what I have grasped out of this literature up until now, I mean, it sort of consists of more than half of the book. I mean, I have this much left, or it's not even that much, because you have all these rigorous what's it called, like index and so forth here at the back of the book. And this one gives like a view of how to finance different projects in, like, from a corporation type of point of view. But it also gives like this formal perspective on how to, as an individual investor, how you actually can go about and sort of invest different types of like how you can invest in certain types of things, for example stocks and so forth. So it's really interesting because up until now I haven't really grasped the whole kind of financial kind of field in this form of how to finance different projects and stuff, and just this whole stock market and all these types of options and all these kind of terms and things that they have that they are using in these in the financial sort of field. I'm actually having one course now in the spring at the university, which is going to be financial English, and the thing is, after reading this and sort of taking in this knowledge, I feel like I have that course I have it under my sleeve, because I can just rely back on many of the words that I have sort of gone over in this, and also of my past experience and studies and so forth. So how I have gone about and studied this is that I have taken one chapter a day. So this would be like it's over 20 days, I would say, around 20 days. So it hasn't been like I mean, I haven't been speeding through all of this, because I think that I have other stuff that I need to do, like with my other studies and other things that I'm doing. So this has been like yet a project for me, because I mean, it does take some time to actually process when you're reading it, and just to take in all these formulas and stuff, you know, how to equations, how to calculate certain things, and how you are associating different variables together, and how you can actually get to the, you know, answer that you are after, depending on what you're trying to actually calculate and so forth. And I mean, it's not the most maybe something that you just read to relax. I mean, I actually find that reading about finance is quite relaxing, because it's not so I don't know, it's just these theories, and they are very like straightforward and so forth. But I mean, it depends on what kind of what you sort of have for sort of preference. And I started from the page 1, because I thought that, you know, that's probably the best way to go about. And I also have taken quite a lot of notes, because I found that when it comes to theories and just words, and I mean, many of the words in this corporate finance field is not just one word. Like, there is like a concept has more than one word, so you're going to end up with a concept that is maybe 5 different words in a total. And in order for me to remember it and sort of know the meaning and so forth, I actually learn quite well when I write it down. And that means that I have almost a ton of notes up until now, after going over all of these chapters. And of course, the sort of calculational side, well, that's also a project on its own, because you need to, there is like at the end of each of the chapters you have like some different tasks and like exercises that you actually can go about and do. I mean, you don't have to do all of them, and also I think that depending on your sort of prior knowledge to this, you may only have to, I mean, you maybe can skip the first few chapters. I felt like some of the stuff that was in the beginning and even in the middle here was some things that I actually have studied up until now. So I mean, it depends on what you sort of have for past experience. And another thing that I think is so important is also that when you're reading and taking in some concepts and different, you know, theories and stuff, it's quite beneficial to also hear like someone else talking about them, because they will explain it in a different way than what you actually have read, and also in a different way than what you have written down if you have taken notes. So I think that, I mean, you can find, I mean, as you go about and reading through all of these concepts and theories, I mean, you learn the concepts, and then you can just even type them in on YouTube or wherever, and you can go and find someone who sort of has, I mean, even you can look up what their background is, but I think it's quite obvious if they know what they're talking about, because I mean, financial terms, you sort of has to have some prior understanding to it before you start speaking about it, as with most things, you know. So you can just find on YouTube, I mean, if you're looking for let's say a call option with stocks that doesn't pay out dividends, okay, you want to know more about the formulas and stuff for that, well, you can go and search on YouTube, and then you find something about it, and then you sort of from that will also grasp a full understanding in relation to what you actually have read and taking notes of, and probably also calculated on. The only thing that I found about this book is that it doesn't really have the correct answer to the exercises. So I mean, that might be a problem if you're not sure if you have done the right calculations. But yeah, so that was just what I wanted to share about this book. I think that as a beginner, I mean, one of the not so practical aspects of this one is that it's quite heavy, and when you're reading it and you're starting, it's quite, you know, kind of dull to start reading it because it just weighs so much and you have to hold it up. So if you have something to support the book on, you know, like some kind of, even use other books to sort of support it, and then you have good lighting, it's going to be super simple. And it's not that much text in this book. I mean, you can probably read, if you're just reading straight, you probably can do quite a few chapters in one day. But for me, I had this more like, I wanted to have the time to reflect on the stuff that I actually have read, and also I took so much notes because I actually wanted to learn. So for me, that's why I sort of divided this into more like a, you know, kind of sort of step-by-step thing. So for the other books that I'm gonna be reading, actually for this term in the spring, I am not having that kind of complicated courses, I noticed. I think they are already stuff that I actually know about. And also, for the only thing that might be a little bit more challenging is the courses that I have for the master. But other than that, I also have more than full-time on the side besides the master courses, and those courses are not going to be that challenging or demanding. It's just to, you know, get done the assignments. But for the some of the literature that I have for the sort of the first course is some of the books that I wanted to share, because if you have interest in any of this, it might be interesting for you. So the first book that I have, this is just for the first course, and it's not or two of the, because I have two courses running in the same time, but it's not all of the books. And as I said, I mean, it's not going to be that demanding for me to go over this because it's not that much, you know, to read. So the first book here is called Different Gods, and this one is about immigrants and sociology, like how people from who have kind of, you know, different types of religions coming into a society that is in the Western Europe or in the North America setting, and how they go about and leading their lives in relation to the society context and in relation to religious practices, you know. And one of the, because I started to read this book, first of all, it doesn't have that much pages. It's like 183 pages, and this one is also published by McGill Queen's University Press, so it's like you know, targeting students on university level. But one of the things that I sort of already noticed in this one is that it speaks of it sort of speaks about immigrants as transplantation into something, you know. And when you're speaking about transplantation, you can, it's like a metaphor for like a body part, you know. And that means you're sort of talking about something that is a body, and you're doing a transplantation of people into that body. But what this book, as far as I have gone about, I'm not sure it's really going to mention so much about the sort of underlying concepts, assumptions that are placed on that body that the transplantation is being done into. It's more, I actually think that this book is going to take for granted some of the assumptions that underlie the body that the transplantation is being done on, which might be a bit of a hindrance in actually grasping the full context, like the full understanding of this topic, you know. Because what body, what are the premises of that body, you know, how are we as humans understanding the body that we're talking about something being transplanted into, you know. So anyhow, that's like a metaphoric sort of explanation of that. So yeah, I'm gonna read this one. I'm probably going to finish this one maybe by tomorrow, so because it's not that much to go over, to be fairly honest. And then I have another book which is called Secularization, which is quite a topic for the sort of Western Europe and the North American setting, and I mean for other areas of the world as well. This one is written by Steve Bruce, and it's also not that much text in this book. This one is published by Oxford University Press, and this one I think is speaking of secularization in relation to Christianity, and not like specific. I haven't read this book, but I think it's going over sort of the like it takes hold on the Christianity in relation to secularization, how institutions are, you know, transforming away from religion, that are in the public sort of sphere. But it also, I think, will mention some stuff about, let's see here, New Age sort of movements, and just how, religious movements or New Age spiritualities are replacing religion. So this might be due to, you know, individualist, like people are more individualized today, so they may not find that collective forms of religions are really what they want to strive for, since the rest of the society in the Western European countries and in the North America are very individualized, like you're striving for income for your own benefit, like most of the things that you will go about and do is like individualized. So that's probably why religion is also kind of transforming into some individual form of practice. However, I haven't read this book, so I can't say too much about what it's going to be talking about, but I'm gonna read this one the coming week. But I mean, these are quite society related topics, and that's why I thought that, you know, books like this is probably, you know, for anyone who just have an interest in the society in general. And then the third book that I also probably, I don't know how much I'm gonna have time to read this one in the coming week, but it's not either that much text in this one. So this one is called The Anthropology of Islam, and it's written by Gabrielle Maranzi, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that she is sort of based in okay, I'm not going to say anything about where she is based, but I thought that she might be from Italy, because I have another book that I also have to read that is written by her, and she is like, I think she is some, you know, she has a background in the academics, and let's see if there is any, so this, I'm trying to find the publishing company here, and well, what is the publishing company, honestly? So, okay, so the publishing company is called Berg, which actually is a Swedish word, so I think she has some connection to Sweden. Or no, actually it says Berg, and then it says Oxford, New York. So anyway, I'm not gonna, you know, draw any conclusions on that. But this one is, I think, about how, you know, science, social kind of types of sciences have, over the past, you know, 20 years or whatever, started to move away from study Islam as a religion, and sort of started to look at how are Muslims in, you know, in practical aspect living today, how are they practicing Islam, what are they making of Islam, what are their, maybe not their interpretation, whether or not they are correct or not, but just how a Muslim sort of going about and applying as Islam, you know, in their sort of setting and society context and so forth. and you know, different individuals and groups and you know, everything. And I think that she takes on kind of a, you know, Western European and North American context. So this one is probably speaking about Muslims who are in West Europe and in North America. So it doesn't have any, you know, like background information here, so I cannot say too much about what this book is really about. But this one is actually one of the many other books that I have in one of the courses that I have starting quite soon. So I'm just gonna, you know, have a read through and take some notes and stuff so I can do the assignments. And then one of the books that I actually purchased that are also included in one of the courses that I have for the start of the spring term is, and I thought that it would go hand in hand, because since this one is an anthropology, this one is actually written by an anthropologist, and he is, let's see here. So first of all, this one is called A Season in Mecca, and it's a narrative of a pilgrimage, and it's written by Abdullah Hamoudi, and it looks like this. So for anyone who's familiar with Islam, you have this, you know, quite important site for Muslims on the front page here. So let's see here, because I thought that this book is quite, you know, it's quite simple to read. It's not something that's going to be super heavy. It's quite society related topic. So I actually purchased this one. So I just want to give some background here, because on the back side here it gives a little bit of presentation of of the author. So it says that Abdullah Hamoudi was born in Morocco and educated at the University of Rabat and the Sorbonne. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of the words, you know, because yeah, I might do that. He joined the faculty of Princeton University in 1991 as a professor of anthropology. Okay, so he's not only an anthropologist, he's actually a professor of anthropology. So because of like how society related this book is, I figure I'm gonna purchase this book, and I got it secondhand in one of these university secondhand bookshops, you know. So yeah, so actually he trained in Paris and he taught in America, and then he decided to go on a pilgrimage to Mecca, and he wanted to observe the Hajj as an anthropologist, but also to experience it as an ordinary pilgrim and to